And a grey old day in Sydney with showers continuing, but still it hasn't prevented the faithful from making it out. That's a shot of the kennel. They're based over there on the eastern side down towards the northern end, and of course there's the Burrow nestled away at the other end, the southern end of ANZ Stadium. Of course, Rugby League headquarters, and just about all the refuge you can grab is being taken by supporters on a miserable day in Sydney. It almost seems like the Easter weekend is plagued with this kind of weather. Well, grand final rematches always bring out the feelings of high anticipation, the chance to avenge defeat or the opportunity to further stamp one's superiority like this club did exactly 6 months ago. It's impossible to replicate a grand final, though, isn't it? It's impossible to replicate anything that's 6 months old. But this club, South Sydney, 8 of the faces from grand final day missing today, and by comparison, Canterbury just 3. Souths have won 4 of their last 5 against the Dogs. They've won 5 of their last 5 here. But can they do it today? They couldn't last year in this corresponding game. A classic confrontation with the Dogs creating league history, becoming the first side in 107 years to win 3 consecutive games by a single point. The Dogs of War. And today's game, of course, also history-making, with 2 sets of identical twins having never opposed each other at this level. It's a good crowd considering the weather. Well, is to show next door has probably bolstered the numbers, in fact, but I'm thinking it's around about 25,000. The sea of blue and white over on that eastern side. Now, we had some information that the big fellow Sam Cassiano was not going to play, and it came from a very high source, but now we're told he's in. So Sam Cassiano is the perfect example of the fiddler's elbow. He's in, he's out, he's in. So South Sydney, 1 change to the side, beaten by Parramatta last Friday. Jason Clark for Cameron McInnes. They've met 150 times, these two. The first time back at Marrickville Oval in 1935, as Greg takes them out. The Premiership co-favourites declining to come through the mouth and the jaws of the Bulldog, and running out towards the southern end of the ground. Now for Canterbury, 3 changes. Josh Reynolds comes back on the bench. The young ushers taking them out behind captain James Graham. Aidan Tolman played his 100th game last weekend. He got a nice reception here earlier today. Moses Mbai, who won that game against West Tigers with a lovely drop goal, and he starts the game in 19, and Josh Reynolds will come on via the bench. That's Curtis Rona. He's the leading try scorer in the competition after 4 rounds. It's interesting with Canterbury, they've scored 16 tries, 14 by the outside backs. Curtis has got 5 of them, and Brett Morris, who is playing, has picked up another 3 on the other side. Cassiano still warming up, but then again, that is typical of the bench. Glenn Stewart, he wasn't in the grand final side. He wasn't needed, as the final scoreboard indicates, but what a wonderful game he's been for South Sydney. They're going to run from right to left. Gerard Sutton, our #1 referee, in charge of this one. Greg Inglis kicks off this Good Friday clash with the Canterbury Bulldogs. And bringing the ball back is Aidan Tolman. His 153rd game, as Sam Perrott brings the ball out beyond the 20-metre line fractionally, and met by 3 of the Rabbitohs. They go to Laffey, and he'll play the ball inside the 30-metre line. So now a run for Curtis Rona, who came through the Cowboys system and wanted to learn more about the game under the coach at Canterbury, Des Hasler. So he made the move to the big smoke. Now Graham plays the ball and they go away to the boot of Hodkinson. And the battle between the halves being analysed not only by a big television audience and this crowd here, but of course very closely watched by Laurie Daly and Bob Fulton. Keary and Reynolds up against Hodkinson and later on Josh Reynolds. This is Reddy, and he'll play the ball just outside 30 as Inglis goes on to Millard, who played 48 games for Canterbury in a 3-year period of his career, and his centre partner Bryson Goodwin, he played 68 from 2009 for 4 years. Now Luke to Stewart, and he's gone across to join Inglis, and then it's gone on, and that is Millard with the ball. Got an accidental shoulder over there from Curtis Rona. So they come away from the eastern side of the ground. The kicker taken out of it, but it was called okay. Here's Perrott back on his own in goal, getting it out 5 metres as Peter Sterling makes his way into the box.
And that's a super take from Sam Perrott. That's the kick that Andrew Johns was demonstrating before kick-off, the swirling torpedo. Sam Perrott, who played fullback last week, was just about the Bulldogs' best, and again showed how faultless he is under the high ball.
It's not that evident on the screen, but rain falling here at Sydney Olympic Park. Eastwood, and the penalty goes to Canterbury. It'll bring them away from their danger zone. It seems that Chris McQueen and Jason Clark were the offenders as Hodkinson finds the halfway line, the junction of that and the western touchline. So they go in one and find Jackson. South end of the ground by 15 metres for Tolman. Felicia now. Now for Graham. He goes behind Eastwood, goes to Mbai. He dummied twice to the Morris twins and then went himself to ground on the 20-metre line. Leisha then for Eastwood. And Canterbury jamming it towards the middle of the ground. Clark over the top, Reynolds underneath, and it goes from Leisha away to Mbai, and now for Williams. From Rona now, back for Mbai, and then back deeper for Hodkinson. And the tacklers fell out of it, and it's come down to Johnston. But now Canterbury have got the ball. He'll rule knock-ons both ways.
First one, Alex.
And the first one is against young Johnston, so it'll be a scrum feed to Canterbury and a golden chance early.
Yeah, that will be so important this afternoon, the kicking game of both of these teams. It's Des Hasler. There's plenty to say, only 4 minutes into this contest. A lot of pressure put on Alex Johnson there. And there were knock-ons both ways, but the first against the South Sydney side. So a scrum 20 metres in. Plenty of players to the left. James Graham again at 5'8".
Hold, Greg. Wait for the out, boys. Hold. Go.
So Canterbury winning the scrum, and Graham to Mbai. The corner's vacant if he's got the pace. The sliding defence, I don't think it's good enough. No, Rona has scored. Leading try scorer on 6 now. The youngster from Cowboy territory.
Well, they had a lot of space out there because the ball went to ground and Curtis Rona had to wait to pick it up. You can see how on the Harvey Norman replay how the defence compresses, and Joel Reddy comes a long way in from the sideline. And Curtis Rona, as Ray pointed out, only needed the speed which he had and the strength to get the opening points. It looked a bit scrappy, but they all count.
It's greasy. It's a balance. It's a balance. Yeah. Thanks, James. Yeah, buddy. Okay, mate. Oh, 10. Yeah. Yeah,
Well, there's Curtis Rona, the try scorer. It's his 12th try. He's only playing his 11th NRL game. And 6 for the season, puts him at the top of the leaderboard. Born in Plymouth, New Zealand, 22 years ago.
Time off.
We've got 2 of the best goal kickers ever, is no exaggeration, in Reynolds and this man Hodkinson. Almost from touch on the eastern side. It's going straight. He wants it to curl, but it doesn't. Sideline comment today, Brett Finch.
Yeah, g'day Ray, happy Easter everyone. Great start there by the Bulldogs. Fantastic way to start the game. As you can see, it's wet, slippery ball. The rain is quite heavy, and he does well not only beat Greg Inglis, but come inside Joel Reddy. Great young finish up there, Curtis Rona, and also for the Dogs, it's a great start, and bad news for them. Sam Cassiano's actually aggravated a hip injury in warm-up. Now, it was too late to make any changes, so he will take the field, but he will be carrying a hip injury today.
So Morris and Tolman combine to send Jackson down the right side, and he's into touch.
Yeah, well, sometimes you gamble it wins, sometimes you gamble you lose, and here the Bulldogs have obviously seen something on the video during the week that if they shifted the ball straight away from the kickoff, you watch Graham comes up, South Sydney compress, and he looks to put Jackson away down the sideline. Now, he found space, but because it's a little slippery today, because the ball's a little harder to catch, it just slowed it down a little, and he didn't have the pace to get around them, slid into touch, and South Sydney get a good opportunity in good field position to hit back.
They actually used that against the Tigers last week, and that gamble actually paid off because they did score from it as South Sydney win the scrum.
And Stewart giving it at close quarters to Burgess. Knee back for Luke, and now for Clark, and Clark has got South Sydney in middle ground, 12 out from the line. Luke again through to Reynolds, then to Stewart. He double pumps and pulls it back. Now it's with Burgess. Who will ever forget his grand final try down this end of the park? To the second man, and Tyrrell is taken by Williams. Luke, a decoy from Stewart. Reynolds a chip, and beautifully taken by Curtis Rona. Well, he's had an electrifying start to the game.
Well, Adam Reynolds made it very easy for Curtis Rona. The kick was a very poor one by his standards. It wasn't high enough. It was straight to the man, and all the pressure immediately relieved.
Zero. Go 10 again, mate.
So 0 tackle. And now the first for Graham. Cassiano is re-signed till the end of 2018. But then this hip injury has hampered him today to the point that he was out and then was reinstated because they didn't have time apparently to make some changes. Here's Eastwood, and they're just on south side of the halfway line. And 4-0 in favour of the Dogs as Hodkinson goes to Jackson and on to Laffey. And Tim Laffey playing the ball. 38 out from the line. Here's Sam Perrott going across and stepping off his right. Linking up with Morris. That is Josh, who got the monkey off his back last weekend. 12 months since being in the winner's circle. Umbai back for Hodkinson's right foot. Down it comes to Johnston. We saw this earlier, but Johnston, that time he got a little bit of cover from players that had moved into the line before Johnson had to mark the ball. Played by Goodwin. Now it's with Reddy. A couple of famous Dragons names, aren't they? Goodwin and Reddy. Now Luke away for George Burgess. And he's lost that ball. It's a strip, I think. It's a penalty to Souths coming out of their own red zone. Holden Cup. Watch, listen.
We're going.
Anytime Big Jimmy fronts the referee, it's worth having a listen. The Holden Cup today as we watch the strip, mainly from Tony Williams. Dogs 20, Rabbitohs 18. That's the Bulldogs' first win of the season, by the way.
That's an outstanding touch finder, that one from Adam Reynolds. Picked up a lot of metres straight away in the attack with Millard taking the tap.
Same again, vision.
Tyrrell then getting up a full head of steam and running off a second pivot on that occasion. Keary turns it in. Burgess over the 30. Looks a hell of a lot different than the makeup he was wearing in that promo for Exodus yesterday. Now McQueen. He had the full makeover. Luke then runs a little semicircle. Then Reynolds decides he better hesitate and come back. And he's just on the 10-metre line down Canterbury's end. And here's Clark, who started the game in place of Grant. Now a kick by Luke. They're leading the race and he falls over McQueen. He's saying I've got to push in the back.
Yeah, so
referee said I don't think so.
Yeah, for me, South Sydney are attacking the wrong side. They're attacking the side of Josh Morris's side with Daryl Millard. The Bunnies are far more potent when they attack to their left side.
Yeah, gotcha, Bish. Yeah,
bringing
gotcha,
Alex Johnson into play, running off Inglis.
Just wondering with Joey whether, as we see Trent Hodkinson kick for touch from that penalty, whether that's the fact that Glenn Stewart is that side and no John Sutton on this left-hand side. It's a little bit different to what we're used to seeing.
Numbers, mate. Woo! Here's Terran Hodge.
So a good touch finder by Hodkinson. Play by Williams. And now it is with Tolman.
Work him out now, Gav. Daryl, out of there!
Lovely interview last night with Aaron Molan on the Footy Show. He's quite an orator. Played Australian schoolboys with many of our first-grade players that are going around at the moment. Aidan Tolman, former Stormer. Now for Eastwood to come on, Hodkinson to go in, Jackson to run around behind Tolman. Nobody was impeded. Mbai to Williams, Williams to Josh Morris, and he will be asked to play the ball 10 metres away from those uprights you can see on the southern end. And it's a penalty to Canterbury, hanging onto the arm that was carrying the ball against that fellow, Daryl Millard.
Glenn, doesn't matter. Got to be here, Glenn. Got to be here. Go. Okay.
Imagine what's going through the veins and the mind of Josh Reynolds as he waits on the bench to come into the game. Who knows when? Here's Graham running across and then jammed up in the defence was Hodkinson. And it was Millard who read that. Might have left a gap out wide, but that was a tackle then that he had to make. Mandatory. Here's Hodkinson back for Brett Morris in from fullback. He was in doubt for the game. Many had him not playing, but the number one is out there. And played for Perrott, sweeping it. Jackson, now Eastwood. Little light step around Clark. Dived on by Burgess and Tyrrell. Now they're on 5. They're 8 metres out. Jackson sees a hole. Throws the ball. Perrott will make it. Yeah, Sam Perrott scores. Sam Perrott picks up Canterbury's second try.
Well, the referee and linesman are conferring here because bodies fell over everywhere. His real try. They will review it. But I think the defence just made the mistakes themselves. There really wasn't anything on here for the Bulldogs. And the defence have panicked. They've rushed up. And they've created the opportunity for the Bulldogs on their own. Here's an interesting shot from up above.
It's the lateness of the decoy run from the centre there, which frees up Josh Jackson. Tim Lathwire runs through, and as the ball's being through, the change of angle there, which frees up the winger.
That's all good. You see the intended receiver on the decoy play gets it on the outside of the man in front. Sam Perrott gets the football down. I love seeing sides, and we're seeing more of it this season, running the football on the last tackle. And Canterbury have come up trumps with the try.
scoring his 75th career try. Now that's 18 tries for Canterbury this season, and 16 of them have been scored by their outside backs. Rona got the first hit today at the 5th minute, Perrott at the 14th. And our condolences go out to the Devery family. Jack, the 95-year-old, he was the oldest living Rabbitoh. Older brother of Test great Pat Devery. He passed away on Wednesday. As Trent Hodkinson prepares to convert the try scored by Sam Perrott. And the kick looks good, doesn't it? Canterbury can rejoice, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, uncharacteristic there from the Rabbitohs. They really raced up, created the opportunity themselves with some panic in defence, then got in each other's way as they tried to scramble and make up the ground. You'll see two South Sydney players in the background ran into each other, and Sam Perrott was able to scurry in on the Harvey Norman replay. Lovely start for the Bulldogs, and that's a huge lead in these conditions, 10-0. You'd have to think they can kick their way home from here.
Well, Greg Inglis took the kick off, and it was marked about 1 metre inside the dead ball line. Canterbury then with a 10-0 lead, and we're 24 minutes out from break.
Well, in this weather, you know, you lead by 10-0, you just kick and chase all day. There's no reason to be playing the ball in your own half of the field, and it's going to be very difficult for the opposition to score long-range tries.
Josh Reynolds checking his kicking apparatus. One of the trainers, as Graham takes it up towards halfway. And that's 5 tackles gone for Canterbury. Remember, this set started 1 metre inside the dead ball line as it goes down to Johnston away in the deep, and he comes out without any opposition until now, and Josh Morris has taken him to ground, giving him a little bit of a roughing up. And it comes away now for Millard to go to ground, 28 out. Just talking of Jack Devery, he played some 5/8 for South in 47, the year that Clive Churchill joined the club. The little master, the immortal. Here's Clark.
Gee, the crowd's come in late here, Rabbits. They've come off the Ferris wheels and into the football by the look of it.
It's the biggest bar close by, I'd say, the Royal Easter Show. 10-0 in favour of Canterbury, and this kick is big and tormenting, but it's taken almost with consummate ease by Brett Morris.
I love the power in his runs when he returns the ball, Brett Morris. He's so strong, and he really takes on the opposition line. He doesn't look for a soft landing.
Keep giving us a name there, Joey.
12 tries from his last 12 games, Brett Morris. Later tonight, you'll see live in both New South Wales and Queensland the Titans up against the Broncos. Jackson now.
Here we are, Isaac. Hold, mate. Go, 4.
Queensland 7:30, New South Wales at 8:30. Here's Graham. He saw half an opening, but Burgess and Terrell close the door. Here's Umbai behind Williams to Brett Morris. And he's out of a tackle. He gets it away. Eastwood flicks it out the back and might have gone forward. He'll play an advantage if he can, but there's no advantage there. And he'll put a scrum down. In fact, it's a changeover.
Who got Eastwood? Because Eastwood looked like he was on his way to the try line.
I think it was Inglis.
And someone's come up with a pearler of a tackle and forced him to pass the ball. Eastwood looked home.
Yeah, running the ball in the last play. The Bulldogs, that last try to Perrott was rolling the dice and running the last play.
Yeah, 1.
Burgess. Here's the tackle.
Yeah, it was Inglis.
Inglis, look at that.
George Burgess just hunched over after that previous run of his. And Isaac Luke down to the 40-metre line. They go right side for Reynolds to kick, and he's hooked it back from, I would have thought, just inside the 40-metre line. It's down to Perrott, running along the 20 before straightening off his left foot.
Yeah, he was aware of it, Sam Perrott. He really scurried back there. Got great experience at both wing and fullback, and
Yeah.
So history is about to be made.
Great leg drive there from Lafayette.
Tom Burgess about to come into the game, so the two sets of identical twins will be on the park at the same time. And here is Leisha getting a short ball away to Greg Eastwood. He's really fleet-footed today, the big fellow.
And that came on the back of a really quick play the ball from Curtis Rona. They've got to roll on again, the Dogs.
So here is Graham to the 10. He goes out to Umbai. That's come off South. It'll be a restart of the tackle count. And this is Umbai again. Taken down by Stewart. Tolman dummies and decides to go himself. So that, with hindsight, was a wasted tackle. Now for Graham, and he hits the ground about 5 metres out from those posts. Hodkinson now. Here's Brett Morris, and he flops it to Lafay, who does the same with Perrott. Steps off his right foot and goes to ground. It's only the third. Long to Hodkinson. Now to Tolman. And Tolman taken down right in front of the uprights. Leisha again. They come back. And Jackson steps off his right foot. Tries to get around George Burgess. 5 gone. And to the left for Umbai again. He rifles one for Rona. And Rona puts it down and Millard dives on it. South getting a couple of forwards ready. Tim Grant is the other.
Well, it's all the Bulldogs at the moment, isn't it? Here's a relieving penalty for South Sydney, but it's really the Bulldogs that are setting the trend here this afternoon. They've had all the good possession at the right end of the field. They're throwing it around. They're really testing this South Sydney defence. And the Rabbitohs haven't had much opportunity to get into their game at all.
My thoughts about the two sets of identical twins being out there at the same time has been dashed by the fact that George has come from the field and Tom has gone on. But it is a history-making game anyway in that department. Tim Grant, the former Panther. Now Keary tries to scoot his way through. Isaac Luke. Clark. Reynolds. He puts a grubber through. It bounces okay for Umbai. And it's a penalty because they have forced him back. In other words, they had a second dip at him. Tom Burgess was the chief offender.
Andrew Johns, I just want to get into the mindset here of the South Sydney halfback Adam Reynolds. This is the third time he has kicked before last tackle. I think he's feeling a lot of pressure from the Bulldog defence, and he's just trying to get them to lay back a little bit so he can get some playmaking time.
Yeah, I think in that situation, the Bulldogs that use their fullback as one of the first defenders off the ruck inside the 10, and I think Reynolds saw that. Big test for Reynolds here. They're on the back foot, the Rabbits. In these conditions, his kicking game could pull the Rabbitohs back into the game.
So as South Sydney makes a couple of changes, Canterbury do likewise with Clemmer and Cassiano. And a penalty. Got to get up and get off. In quicker than that was the order from Sutton.
Yeah, Jason Clark here is the man, and Laurie Daly revealed during the week that when he looks at halfbacks in games who are contenders to play higher level, he looks when things aren't going well for them. And they're not going well for Adam Reynolds and his team, so the Origin coach will be paying close attention to the Rabbitoh 7.
So they come for a blindside shot, and the pass went well behind Sam Perrott. Plays it inside 20. Cassiano, who was out of the game after the warm-up, but then back into the game when they couldn't really replace him. Graham, and that's an awful pass out the back, and Souths have got there first. And it is Reynolds, in fact. Now Millard, 20 out. This is down where the South Sydney Borough supporters are, and they didn't think Canterbury were back the 10. Thus the groan in the background. So Grant still inside the 40. Grevsmull in 16. Reynolds kicking from
Give 10.
Again, pretty much on the 40-metre line. And Perrott brings it back from the corner.
Cover that ball, mate. Cover the ball.
Stewart
Up your Grant on the line.
hit him with everything.
Go 1.
Curtis Rona. First try scorer. Sam Perrott, the second.
Go 2.
This is the second game for Canterbury of 5 consecutive games here at home. The amazing 90 starts on Wednesday week. Taking a walk down memory lane. The decade of the 90s. And here's Cassiano. Backing it up, and he had an arm free, but by this stage everybody else was ready for the structure and not worried about the ball being there, I guess, for Cassiano to pass if he wanted to.
I love Sam Cassiano. I love watching him play. Our game must always accommodate a player like Sam Cassiano. Huge man with silky skills.
Goodwin. Which reminds me of how good Arthur Beetson would have been in the game the way it's now composed.
Yeah, I love him too. I think they should have to play for longer than 15 minutes at a time, though.
Grant.
Hold. Go 4. Just watch Jackson on the legs. 4.
So here comes South through Keary, and then a tap on.
6 more.
Mathai and Inglis having a little disagreement. Cassiano getting rid of the ball. Leisha gets it on. Umbai taken by Stewart.
Play on 1. Where the 10? Where the
So
10?
Williams on the short side. And they're good meters, and now he knows that he's close to that sideline over there.
2 coming now, mate.
And here is Rona coming away and just asking a question. And Souths have got the ball.
Cool double. First one, Dogs.
So it's a South Sydney loose head and feed.
It's a good opportunity for them. Always said to teams, you know, when you find yourself 10 or 12 points behind early in the game, you've got to chase that deficit with your defence. Don't so much chase it with your attack. There's a long way to go in the contest. What they've got to do is put plenty of pressure on the opposition, not concede any more points, and force these little turnovers to get the ball in good field position. So South Sydney have got to take a defensive mentality into this chase.
Yeah, there was poor play there from Curtis Rona. In these conditions, you can't run with the ball in the impact zone. He was running with the ball in his left arm. You saw Glenn Stewart really targeted the arm which was carrying the ball.
The Spider Cam looking down on that scrum, which was a scrum to the advantage of South Sydney, and they go inside 30. Reynolds, Inglis in, Millard on the shoulder of Rona. So Inglis at dummy half now, and Grant hits it up to be inside the 20-metre line. They're in the middle of the ground as Luke goes to Stewart, short, and then to Keary, and then a no-look pass, and it's put down by McQueen, picked up by Brett Morris. And he'll play the ball on his own 10.
He's a tremendous defender, Trent Hodkinson. He was one-on-one there, and he did go in low, but the impact of the tackle forced the mistake. Now Josh Reynolds, number 3 interchange for the Dogs. And who's the man coming off?
Leisha.
Michael Leisha.
So Umbai will stay there. And Michael Leisha will come from the park. And there's Jackson making a bad pass look good. Or maybe he had overrun the flight of the ball. Whatever way, it was good hands there by Jackson. Hodkinson rolls it from outside the 40 down towards the touchline. And we'll take a break on Good Friday Rugby League Live.
Yep. Okay. Right, let's form up, boys. Let's go, Bulldogs. In there, Tim. Suji, outside leg up, mate. Your left one. Chris, how many front rows we got? Form up, Dogs. Let's get the back rows there.
And welcome back to ANZ Stadium for this big Good Friday clash, and the Dogs leading 10-0 with this scrum won by South down on their own 10-metre line. The game being played under grey skies, and some rain is about in front of a crowd here. It has swollen, there's no doubt about it. It might be getting up towards 30,000. Umbrellaed up.
Stay there, mate. Your whistle.
So the tap free will happen just on south side of halfway. 10-0 down on a day like today. They've got to get on their bike soon. Tom Burgess.
Well, they can't allow it to get any worse, and they are working their way back into the game on the back of much more possession than they had in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the game.
Luke goes behind decoys for Reynolds, and then Inglis came in. He dropped it on Millard's hands. He put the ball down, and coming up with the ball is Josh Reynolds. So here he is doing what he loves best. In fact, it's the only thing that he wants to do is play some football. Hodkinson on for Jackson. He's been prominent, hasn't he? Laffey taken by Burgess and McQueen right on South's 40-metre line, and there's Laffey on the ground.
Yeah, that last play from South Sydney, their favourite play, where they throw the ball out the back, and just try to get around you with numbers. It's very difficult to do it quickly in these conditions, and the Bulldogs have just made the decision today. They're going to race up and give it to everyone. Don't know what's happened with Laffey here. His ankle's got rolled right under there.
Yeah, you watch the Bulldogs, Gus. Couldn't agree anymore with you about their attack. The Bulldogs are looking to change direction with their back rowers, in particular Josh Jackson, changing the angle and getting short passes.
This is terrible. Tim Laffey about to leave the field.
His ankle got caught right under there. You see it just, it was awful. See his ankle there. It's not meant to bend that way. Oh my God.
Yep. Yeah.
So these two clubs coming together again on Good Friday. It's become one of the traditional matches on the Rugby League calendar for South and Canterbury. Coincidentally, the grand final teams playing again on a Good Friday.
Only a short stint on the sideline for Michael Leisha. He's coming back in. There'll be a reshuffle, possibly Jackson into the centres. We'll take a break. Bulldogs 10-0 over the Rabbits.
Yeah.
Well, obviously no luck there for Tim Laffey. The ankle going underneath the body of the tackler. And
All right, we're right, Gav.
the number 9 goes back into the game, Michael Leisha,
Yep.
the former Shark, who basically changed places with Michael Ennis.
Yeah, and it won't be Josh Jackson. Moses Mbai has played a bit of football in the top grade for the Dogs in the centres, and he slots in on the right-hand side.
Stay with us, Tom.
Here's Graham. Here the referees say, stay with us, Tom. In other words, here's the 10. So they play the ball in the middle. They're 20 out, and Cassiano behind a decoy, finding Reynolds, who's upended by 3 South Sydney tacklers. Josh Morris, Tony Williams, Sam Cassiano, and with every stride, the uprights getting so close. Leisha down to Hodkinson, Jackson running the angle and then running into Inglis and Grant. And there's the try line, changeover time.
Well, it's the 4th time they've run the football on the last tackle inside the attacking zone. They're not worried or concerned about getting the ball into the in-goal area to get a restart. They think that they can get across the line on that last tackle. They've done once this afternoon.
Tom Burgess.
Tony, clear it. Sam square. Hold Josh. Go 2.
Greg Inglis taking one for the boys.
Hold Josh. Go 3.
Almost to the 30. They are beyond it now with Luke.
Michael, clear it. Keep coming, Josh. Good mate, 4. Inside.
Reynolds kicking from inside 40, trying to rake it back down into Perrett's corner.
Okay, Gav.
And
Yours.
Sam brings it out beyond the 20. Now he goes back and starts running along that line. He does it a lot.
Glenn up now. Down
Runs
the square.
laterally and then tries to just pick out a hole. Here's Morris now. And that line in front of him is the 30.
That's it.
So Rona taken by Grebsmull.
Down there now, Chris.
And
Give
just a
her
reminder
10.
that the second Friday game
3.
is the nighttime event at 8:30 in New South, 7:30 in Queensland. It's a Queensland derby between the Titans and the Broncos, and we'll do it all again on Sunday at Allianz when the Roosters play the Sharks. It's gone out to Perrett, and he hangs on. Goodwin, he got a little toe along there for a couple of metres. Now Hodkinson from the right extreme, they're heading to the centre. Reynolds puts a kick in, and it's been taken by Reddy.
Wow.
Gee, I thought it was worth pursuing through the hands.
Well, they should have investigated it a little further there before they went to the kick. They had the Rabbitohs on the back foot. They had big numbers out to the left, and they had them stretched.
Now, this is an area where the Dogs are on top of South. The first few plays of the set of 6, they're monstering the outside backs of South Sydney, where the Dogs' outside backs are making easy yards and getting the roll on.
Keary with a lovely ball for Johnston. Here comes Brett Morris. He kicks over his head. Johnston and Jackson and Morris. A three-way race for the ball, but Brett Morris dives on it.
Oh, show that again. That is absolutely blinding from Brett Morris. For Johnston to kick over his head and get around him on the fly, and Morris to come again, how quick is he?
This is 3.
That is brilliant. It would look even better from the high shot, where you get an idea of just how much momentum Johnston had and how Morris had to turn and chase and get back there. That's a huge play.
That's Leisha.
That is really brilliant.
Hodkinson. Referee happy with the tackle. Greg Inglis taken by Jackson.
It was a good tackle, Josh Jackson, but just taking Greg Inglis like that, it knocks you around. He was stunned a bit there, Jackson, and obviously Greg Inglis hasn't come out of it that well either, as George Burgess is back into the action.
George Burgess met by Tony Williams and Sam Cassiano.
Come on, George.
That'd be about 360 kilos coming together there.
Make it, James. Go 4.
And played by Grebsmull. Now for Keary. He kicks down into the corner. And again, some urgency for Brett Morris.
Well, they're testing the
Up now.
structurally
No, Josh. 1.
Greg Inglis's knee
Play on. Hold
in
10.
back play. He's hobbled away from
Clear
that.
it now, Chris.
That tackle with Jackson. See, that right knee's heavily strapped.
Chris. Up now.
He's hobbling at the back there, Inglis.
Both coaches have made 4 changes. And we're 4 minutes away from half-time on this Good Friday.
Big run.
Inglis
Go 4. No markers.
now unaided. He had a trainer with him. Clever bouncing his way to the halfway line.
Go. 1 ref mark.
So for Hodkinson, he kicks down towards Reddy.
Okay. I'm going to hold 10.
A lot of grass between Reddy and the defence line coming down to the southern end, and Reddy stands and unloads, and Inglis takes the tackle.
Now, when they kicked that ball down to Reddy, Inglis made no attempt to get back and try to be a support player for him, and then suddenly the ball just ended up in his hands. He didn't want it. He's got up from that tackle very gingerly.
Here we are, Josh.
He has leant over, and the trainer has gone straight to that right knee again.
Josh Jackson, get the hand out.
He's trying to get some support there.
Here's Goodwin.
Sam, heads away.
This is
Sam,
how it happened.
Hold.
Yeah, it's a hyperextension there. See, the league And that looks like the type of strapping they're trying to apply there.
They look to have an overlap out there, but Stewart's found his own. Oh, it's been bombed by Tom.
Well, he was getting ready to beat Brett Morris before he caught the football. Now he's hurt Brett Morris.
Incidentally, it was George, not Tom.
Josh Jackson.
Mate, that's a penalty. He led with his elbow once he dropped that.
All right, hang on.
Well, Josh Morris is complaining that there was an elbow used in the carry.
Okay. Josh Jackson's with the ball on 0.
He's just bracing after he's lost the football. But before he caught it, he was preparing what to do against the opposing number 1. He's just got one thing in front of the other the wrong way.
Well, both fullbacks are down. Inglis is still in backfield getting strapping here.
0 tackle, yeah.
He's not comfortable at all.
Play the ball, 0.
But there's no sign of him coming off. He's persevering here
Boys,
with the medical attention. There's a definite limp. Wow, it's a valuable bit of property back there, Rabbits. It's under stress, isn't it?
Nice, Tim.
So here's a chance for Souths. 2.5 minutes out from half-time. Just looking at Inglis, he's jogging up to take a spot, I would imagine, in the back line.
And what a big 2.5 minutes this could be in the overall scheme of things. South Sydney showed urgency to get to the scrum and get it set. They realise they're valuable seconds. Cassiano, the man who made the error, you can't try and play the football before you regain your feet.
So this scrum, that line is the 20-metre line. They're 20 metres in from touch. As they run with Millard to within 15 metres of the Canterbury line. Play it for Isaac Luke, who goes behind Stewart and goes to George Burgess. So both Burgess twins are out there, as is the case with the Morrises. And here's Luke with a chance to barge over. Yes, I think he got it down. What's the referee?
Yeah, I've got big concerns about contact here.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Bernie, we're on tackle 3. I've got big concerns about the contact on Isaac Luke. And no try, but I want to look at contact.
Well, he saw a shaft of light, did Isaac Luke, and he tried to go through the gap. And you can see there's been some damage done, possibly not on the scoreboard.
Greg,
Yeah, but it's interesting, the comment. He said, I don't think it's a try, but I've got real concerns about the contact. Now, does that mean the contact...
There we go, boys.
There's nothing there, I don't think. There's nothing there. Oh, your knee to the back of the head by Cassiano.
Greg.
Now, is he saying this could possibly constitute... Let's have a look at the ball. Oh, there's a kick. There's all sorts of things going in there. There's a knee across the back of the head, and there's a right foot comes up past the head. I don't know if it makes contact.
Has he scored anyway?
I don't know that he made it, Pete.
We'll get the other angle, but the ball is in his grasp for a long, long way.
I'm just wondering whether or not the referee is thinking this boot lashes out at him, whether it hits him on the way down, and we've got a bit of a Melbourne Storm thing here. Now, if that's the case, is there a case for penalty try? He's nearly got it down anyway.
I think that's what Sutton is alluding to. I think that's exactly what he's alluding to.
It is a try.
It's on the line anyway. It is a try, and he's still got a grasp on it. Now,
possible 8-pointer.
It's a possible 8-pointer. You're quite right. This is what Gerard Sutton was alluding to.
Yeah.
On what he had seen, it wasn't a try, but that's been proven wrong. Listen to this. Luke goes up the tunnel.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Gav, if you can walk.
Here's the decision. So it is a try, but I don't know that we're finished yet.
It's Brett Morris, correct? James?
This is an 8-pointer.
Yeah, Josh.
Sir, can I ask a question before you even start?
look at the speeds we're playing this game at. How's he supposed to pull out of that? He can't pull out.
What he can't do is...
I know going with his knees, but I don't think he did, sir. Look how quick the game is, mate.
James.
He's not going like that.
All right, mate, you've had your opinion. Now we'll listen to what's going to happen. The foot contacts him in the head. It's on report, and it'll be a possible 8-point try. Absolutely.
But he's not about me being obstructed like that.
To the front of the
So
face,
Gerard
please.
Sutton has heard the complaint from James Graham about the knees, and suddenly Sutton has sidestepped him and said it's a foot, or in other words, it's a... Listen to this. It still goes on.
Yeah, I think what James Graham was trying to keep his man on the field. I don't think he was arguing too much about what happened. He was just trying to make the point there in case he was thinking of a send-off. But there's no mention at the moment of Cassiano over the top either. Because not only they're talking about the Josh Morris foot that was raised trying to prevent the ball being placed, but there's also Cassiano afterwards coming in on top of him with the knee that hasn't been mentioned.
Well, I mentioned a telling 2.5 minutes coming up. I didn't realise it was going to be such a crucial 30 seconds.
It has been mentioned by Jimmy Graham. We agree on that, don't we? He was defending Cassiano when all the time it was going to be the kick from Josh Morris to the head.
Yeah.
So we've got a chance of 8 here.
Well, Graham looked at the big screen. He was more worried about Cassiano than he was Morris.
I understand. And Reynolds puts it through. Now he'll come across in front of the posts. We're going to have 10-8. We're going to have 10-8 at half-time. Look at them. Look at them. Now they've come alive.
We're done.
Jimmy Graham, he's still going. There might be a spot for Jim in Canberra. Although he's probably got more willing ears here than he would have there in the chamber.
Well, moments don't come any bigger than that, do they? They don't come any bigger than that. From 10-0 to 10-8 in the shadows of half-time, and it's game on.
And we still have to check the condition of Isaac Luke. Adam Reynolds converts the try and then takes the added 2. Half-time seconds away. The Dogs lead the Rabbits 10-8. Well, there's no way he's going not to come back. Greg Inglis, who we had big concern about with the trainer almost attached to him for the last 5 minutes of the first half. But he's going back out there. So South's down by 2 at the half-time break. He seems relatively free in his action now. He had a conspicuous limp in that period just leading up to half-time. Jimmy Graham. Barrist of Graham. Gee, he made his point over a long period of time with Gerard Sutton. The blue and whites, they're in front by 2.
Well, I don't know if I want him as my barrister. He didn't have a lot of joy, Ray. And in the half-time break, the guru David Middleton reminded us that that is the second 8-point try we've seen this season. Go back to round 1, Warriors v Newcastle. Tyrone Roberts and Thomas Luluai involved in that one.
Canterbury Club doing a good job, a really good job promoting this game. And they had formerly Timmermatic, as you saw on our preview section this afternoon. So it's good to see clubs get some professional entertainment together. John Sutton is one of the 8 faces missing from this team today.
Have you been on the Ferris wheel at all, Ray? Been over the Royal Show at all?
No,
I can imagine you up the top of the wheel.
I went actually 35 years ago to Moore Park to buy a Pluto pup. Canterbury running from right to left and leading by 2. Good Friday afternoon, live rugby league for Burgess.
Josh off the ball.
Tom.
Sam and David. Go
Just
one,
outside the 20-metre line, and here's Ben Lowe with number 15 on his back.
Tony here, mate. Good too.
Andrew Johns, Phil Gould, Peter Sterling with me in commentary today.
Offload.
George gets the ball away, and Lowe is greeted by Williams.
Three, Marcus, okay,
Then
three.
Keary for Inglis, and he decides to run at Jimmy Graham.
James, let go.
The Canterbury captain pulls him down right on halfway. Now it's with Stewart, and he went right to the line.
Tackle, Josh. Keep coming, Tony.
Queen went through,
Okay,
looked as though he was keen for the ball. A floater from Reynolds, and taken well by Brett Morris. And then he steps and he swivels, and he's held by Lowe and George Burgess.
Clear now, George. Give him room.
It doesn't matter what end of the park he's on.
One. Hold 10, mate.
He's got this never say die attitude about him, Brett Morris. This is David Clemmer.
Up now, Chris. Lock in, Tom.
Many of these players under the Laurie Daly microscope. And Brett Morris, of course, well in contention for the one jumper for the Blues.
Go three, Ben Lowe.
And now Leisha. Able to run quite a distance before giving it to Graham. Now for Cassiano. And he comes to Reynolds, and he flops the ball down to Josh Morris. And Morris, well, he's held and will play the ball on the 40-metre line. 10-8 then.
Okay, James Graham.
Early minutes of the second half as Reynolds dabs one down towards Johnston.
I'm holding 10, mate.
And Johnston held inside the 20-metre line. Now for Bryson Goodwin.
Josh, don't re-grip. Hold. Go two. That's all right.
That scoreline in the grand final was easily the biggest scoreline between these two clubs last year. But this corresponding match on Good Friday last year, that was a classic confrontation, which Hodkinson finished it at 15-14. Now for Stewart.
See Luke Keary operating out of dummy half with Isaac Luke still in the sheds. He'll find his halves partner Adam Reynolds. He props back and runs.
And chips again, and it's taken by Hodkinson.
Ben Lowe up now. Lock in straight. Get straight, Luke.
Perrott
Stay there again, mate.
didn't have to
stay 10.
Work out too difficult. It wasn't too difficult to work out who to give it to on the short side, which is 20 metres wide. There was only Moses Mbai. Now for Perrott. He's going to be about 5 metres away from the halfway line.
Hold. Go three.
Brett Morris.
Yeah, gone 10.
Running an arc and then swerving around a couple of tired forwards. Here's Jimmy Graham now. He goes out to Hodkinson, on to Williams, now to Morris. And Josh is able, or tries to get around Daryl Millard, gets it away, and it's gone from Rona, Hodkinson, Clemmer. Clemmer in the middle of the park, swerves away from one, looks for a little bloke, runs at Keary, and will play the ball 10 metres out. Leisha, Reynolds to the blind, he floats, oh, Sam, he had it on the fingertips.
Change over, boys.
There's his face, shows the anguish.
Hold here, Dave.
Getting very close to that screen, Des,
Okay,
and he
Chris.
had the glasses on too.
Hold. Hold.
We all know the feeling, I think.
Yeah, even if he'd have caught that football, Sam Perrott, I don't think he had enough room to score the try. Again, another attack on the last. No Frank Pritchard into this game as yet. He's the only player not to have been involved of the 34.
Here it is, Tony. Hold. Go two.
Sitting up there next to Aidan Tolman.
Straight.
So Williams picks up and grabs Mull, and he does a belly flop with him, really.
James, clear it.
Ben Lowe,
Go four.
Keary, a dummy, and then, like Isaac Luke, dummied right, went left,
Sam, no hands. Give him room.
picked up Tom Burgess, and here is Reynolds now. He drives it.
Reynolds is coming.
He's outside the 40. It's going to sit up, is it, in goal? Just let it take one more revolution to get the 20 tap and the 7 tackles.
It's got to get James cleaned up.
What's the story on Isaac Luke, Brett?
Yeah, big news out of the South Sydney change rooms. Isaac Luke has been ruled out for the rest of the match. He will not be back, so that's a huge turning point for this game.
Michael Maguire, South's coach. Of course, he went through the grand final without the same bloke last year.
Go zero.
For contrasting reasons, of course.
Yeah, well, Luke Keary going into the dummy half position, normally that would sort of stifle the attacking options, but when you've got a forward like Glenn Stewart in your side, that sort of second pair of hands in playmaking role is not lost completely. So they're still not out of this, South.
Leisha, Graham, Brett Morris was hunting up on the inside.
Tackle 4. James, you got to get that cleaned up, mate.
James Graham has got some blood on the face, apparently.
Good. That's no good. We stopped it once.
Old days used to be able to put some Vaseline on that, but he took care of that. No Vaseline anymore, James Graham.
That's a second bleed.
Ooh, scary.
Second bleed. Tackle 4.
It's his second bleed, and Gerard Sutton saying,
I have nightmares about people like that looking at me.
yeah.
He's funny, James Graham.
Tackle 4.
If he was a racehorse in New South Wales, he'd be barred for life. It's his second bleed.
They say they take me off when I bleed, they take me off when I'm concussed. There's no fun anymore.
You know, the elastoplast doesn't work. For God's sake, how much more trouble can I find here today?
He hates rugby league at the moment. He's not going off. Get me a bigger bandage. I want a bigger swab. I'm not going.
Okay, we're right.
Look at him.
Hold, go, 4.
What happened to the stapler?
Yeah, what about that? Michael DeVere, wasn't it? Here's a chance.
Clemmer bursting through tackles again.
12 metres out from the line. Down to the northern end come the Dogs, and Reynolds puts a kick in. Oh, that's magnificent from Gredsmore.
Up now, Aiden. Lock in square, Sam. 1. Stay there again, Gav.
It wasn't just the manner in which he was able to rake it in, but he had attackers from onside coming through with him, or advancing on him. Ready. 20 metres away from their own line. That's low. Taken by the 7 and the 8. And Leisha. Now for Tom Burgess. To the 40-metre line. It's a hard-working effort. Keary for Stewart and back on the inside for
Last
English.
tackle.
Canterbury basically had read the script, and they collectively put him away.
It was a great tackle from Clemmer. Clemmer looked up and saw Inglis floating on the inside of Glenn Stewart. At the last minute, Clemmer slides off Glenn Stewart and tackles Inglis.
Well, a good opportunity here for the Bulldogs, getting possession on the halfway mark. Here's the tackle at Andrew. Well, this is the run earlier that Clemmer produced in the attacking 20, and came up with a good tackle defensively in the next set.
Penalty goes to Canterbury. Hand on the ball is the indication, and Leisha takes it inside the 20-metre line. Reynolds, the markers all over the place, and Reynolds has tackled 7 away. Middle ground, crowd begging for a penalty again. Clemmer, held by Inglis, McQueen and Lowe. Now for Williams, who's going to stop him? Oh, George Burgess, with some help from his friends, including Adam Reynolds. Now Leisha, they widen it up a bit. Hodkinson away, Reynolds kicks, Stewart's there, so is Johnston. Line dropout.
Nice. Very, very nice. South Sydney certainly got a boost out of that 8-point try before half-time. Began the second half solidly, but just at the moment, the Bulldogs have subdued that and now got themselves back on top. Starting to move the ball around to show a little more energy. Some of the South players slumped over with fatigue there.
Josh Reynolds trying to shut it down with the shoes.
Yeah, you've got to catch those on the full. Look at that. They've given away, I reckon, 10 or 15 metres there.
Play by Cassiano. No dummy half, and Tony Williams put his hand up very quickly. He realised the situation. They're on the 30-metre line behind Cassiano. Josh Morris came from a left centre position across to link in on the open side. And Reynolds will play the ball. Josh Reynolds for Canterbury. Here's Aiden Tolman now, and he's taken in a bear hug there by Tom Burgess. Ben Low over the top. Now it's come away, and it's with Hodkinson, and he shows it before giving it eventually to Josh Morris. Last tackle for Canterbury. And it's with Leisha. He puts a kick in behind. Stewart's got it. And he surrenders in the tackle.
That was a very poor set from South, and it started from play one, where they didn't catch a ball on the full. Then there was no dummy half at the next.
Josh Reynolds.
And a pretty meek finish to that as well at the end.
So Tyrrell has gone out there for Souths, taking the place of Tom Burgess.
Reddy's lost it, cleaned up by the Dogs.
So they're on the 30-metre line, and Tolman takes it to ground. Under the tackle of Keary and Clark and Lowe. Now for Clemmer. To the 10-metre line. Tackling a man like him, it'll bring a bruise or two, there's no doubt. Right foot step, and Reynolds has then run into the clutches of McQueen, who barrels him into the turf. Leisha for Clemmer again. This young bloke who got a Four Nations trip last year with all the exuberance of youth. And Hodkinson, Cassiano, Morris back, Williams on, Hodkinson again. He's on the 10-metre line, got away from McQueen, and he'll play it 5 out from the south line. Played for Michael Leisha. And a kick from Reynolds, taken by Josh Morris. He's done it again. There's no need for the monkey act today, though.
Back to tackle one. Have a try.
Josh
Just
Reynolds.
make sure on that rebound there.
Little kick. Set up for Morris. Referee said he's got a try.
Well, they were presented with the opportunity after an error from Joel Reddy inside his own half, and we've spent a lot of time in the last 5 minutes down this attacking end. We believe that a bit of good fortune here will go their way. The referee on field has said it is a try. They'll just be looking at what happens where the rebound takes place. You can see Josh Morris on the inside of Josh Reynolds. He's onside. A number of Dogs to the left aren't, but they don't get involved. Hits the arm of Jason Clark, hits Chris McQueen, bounces onto the chest of Josh Morris, who regathers. That's all fine. Swings out of the attempted tackle from Greg Inglis. All good.
And none of this is possible unless Morris makes the effort to go in field from his centre position and call for the kick. He's come from the left side of the field onto the right side of the field inside his playmaker and said, dab one through to me. Not a great kick. Rebound is an element of luck, but it doesn't happen if he's not there. He put himself into the game. Why are we looking at this again, Rabbits?
I've got no idea, Gus. I wish I could be of more service to you, Your Majesty, but I can't. Surely green. And it is. The blue and white supporters in amongst the kennel making enough noise for another 10,000 of them. Josh Morris scores a try against Souths to take them to a 14-8 lead. And Hodkinson just off centre. He converts and adds another 2. Brett, great atmosphere.
Yeah, it certainly is, Rabs, and it's just been constant rain all day. There's the crowd there, 40,523 here today. pro Bulldogs fans, a lot of the Dogs supporters here, and they've certainly come alive after that try to Josh Morris.
Well done to everybody that's come to this game today, because they certainly were inclement weather conditions, but 40,500. Josh Reynolds giving it to Aiden Tolman to take it back. Now, 8 points the margin and 27 minutes to go. Cassiano taking it beyond the 20-metre line. Isaac Luke, who won't be back today. He's been ruled out by the club doctor.
Well, they've always looked like at least an 8-point better side this afternoon, the Bulldogs. Obviously, South Sydney were buoyed by what happened just before half-time, but in the opening 53 minutes, the Dogs have clearly been the better side.
This is Tolman. That's the halfway line. And Josh Reynolds kicks. Tackle was okay from Clark. And Greg Inglis will play the ball 25 out from his own line.
He doesn't look at his bristling best, does he? Very, very ginger running that ball back. Obviously a lot of courage still to be out there, but I would say he's only running on about 3 cylinders.
This is Ben Lowe.
Dogs have been physical today, haven't they? There's been plenty of whack in the tackles. A lot of them have hit low today, lower than they usually do in the wet conditions. I guess they're looking for loose ball and just to stop these big forwards, but very physical, the blue and whites.
It reminds me in part of the same tactic that was used by West Tigers in a match against South last year. They got right up in their face as close as make-up, and they finished up with the chocolates that day too. 16-8 in favour of the Dogs.
Well, this one's not over yet. I mean, they've still got to finish it off. 25 minutes to go. Souths are capable, but there's got to be a shift in momentum here for them to get back in it.
Rona is with the ball, but down is Glenn Stewart, the 11. Is it Glenn?
I think it was friendly fire.
Yeah.
I think one of the Burgess twins. I think it was collision with George Burgess.
Come down for the last tackle. Played by Brett Morris. Rabbitoh in behind the play. The ball was George Burgess.
It's a poor kick again.
And it's gone out on the full from Canterbury.
Well, he lost his compass here, and he had all the time in the world, Josh Reynolds.
Guys, I think he gets spooked by the winger that's back. I think it's Alex Johnson. He's back in the last minute. He changed his mind and tries to find the line with the kick. Just a total wrong kick in the wrong situation.
He hasn't kicked well since he's come on.
Well, it's just you can't afford these ones. You're facing the sideline. You try to kick across it in these conditions. The ball will just skid off your boot and take off.
Glenn Stewart leaving the field now by the trainer.
Now that is a problem, because Keary at dummy half, Reynolds at halfback. You'll see, bang, he runs into a teammate's knee. Now that Stewart comes off with Keary at dummy half, it really comes down to Reynolds and Inglis. And like we said, Inglis is not well.
Well, here's the test for Adam Reynolds.
A touch of irony about all of this. The referee must have been a millisecond off blowing a penalty for George Burgess lying in the ruck without making any attempt to get clear. You remember correctly, the dummy half was fishing for the ball. He couldn't find it under this man's frame, George Burgess. Then, of course, they say play on, and Josh Reynolds kicks it out on the full. So here it's Clark, and playing the ball just outside the 20-metre line. So Glenn Stewart is gone. There's David Tyrrell up the middle. 15 away from the Canterbury line. Reynolds behind low, picking up Millard.
They've had him covered there all day. Every time South go to their right.
Reynolds Raking a kick across, and Goodwin goes up and got a bat on it. They got it away from Grant to McQueen to Clark. Clark is on the first tackle, and he's held by Clemmer and Tolman. So they're 10 out with a complete set. Tyrrell, that's the first. Now Keary, now Grant. Here's Greg Inglis. He puts a ball across to be taken over there by Johnston. Played on the 10. McQueen for Inglis. George Burgess runs at Michael Leisha. Now we've had 3 tackles. 8-point ball game, Canterbury in front. Reynolds holds it up and then to Johnston, short to Millard. But again, the Canterbury defence is there. He tries to pass a ball. Josh Morris will turn it into an advantage.
Yeah, no matter where the Rabbitohs have gone today, the Bulldogs have had answers, haven't they?
On the ball. Jason!
Just need to change their tact a little bit.
Clemmer again. Titans and Broncos Friday night football. 8:30 in New South Wales and 7:30 in Queensland as Josh Reynolds goes running across to the other side of the ground.
I think
that's the halfway line.
Greg Inglis has gone to 5'8".
Watch Reynolds.
Yeah, Alex Johnson back to fullback. One of Clive Churchill at 5'8", Greg Inglis.
Johnston steps away from Josh Morris, steps inside Tony Williams, up towards halfway. The young winger from South Sydney playing fullback now.
Well, he was an outstanding fullback as a kid coming through the system. That's the position he wants to play. And an injury to Glenn Stewart and Isaac Luke has given him the opportunity. Inglis has been moved to 5'8", Johnston to fullback.
George Burgess, 22 metres away. And then Inglis held it up to give it to Clark. 10 out, he got it off, and Keary shows it back to Grant, gives it this time. Lowe will play the ball 7 out from the line. Clark again, back now for Reynolds, played out, picked up by Tyrrell, and the big front row forward. David Tyrrell gets a rare try.
Well, just like the other end, with the ball hitting defenders from the kick. This one is set up nicely as well, and the unlikely hero, Dave Tyrrell. Kick put through by Adam Reynolds. It is deliberately played at by the Canterbury Bulldogs defence on the Harvey Norman replay, and the big front row, the unfashionable number 8, gets them right back into it. Or 10.
Just a few offload and stuff, so just hold back. Yeah.
Well, this is Dave Tyrrell, the front row forward, wearing number 10.
Number 10,
it looked like an 8. I grant you that. That's it. There's the kick. Conversion successful. Brett Finch.
Yeah, James Graham has returned from the sheds for the Bulldogs in all good news. He'll be in jumper number 22. So for all the Bulldogs fans at home, in jumper number 22. And also Glenn Stewart's just getting his concussion test done now.
I remember the old days when the front rows used to be 11 or 13.
Exactly right, and the hooker was a 12.
Well, they've done well, the Rabbitohs, because really they haven't been in the contest. The Bulldogs have dominated, but it can happen on a day like this where it's wet and your dominance doesn't really reflect on the scoreboard, and a little ricochet like that, suddenly the Bunnies are back in it and the game is in the balance again.
David Tyrrell made his debut back in 2009. He's got the ball now very appropriately. So what's that? In 7 years, that was his 5th try. So to use the word rare was probably also appropriate.
Yeah, but he's the kind of player that every premiership winning team has to have. One bloke who maybe doesn't get that many raps compared to higher profile teammates, but he just gets the job done. Good run, George Burgess there.
He's going to have to produce a grand final try effort if they're going to get out of this. 18 and a half to go, and Mr. Graham is coming back. It's a kick from Reynolds, sitting down. Brett Morris gives it to Sam Perrott. Down on the 10-metre line. Brett Morris again picked up and driven back by South's defenders. They had him walking. Jackson taken by Inglis.
Wow.
Inside the 10, they've used 3 tackles. That's Rona. Now they're inside the 20 and playing 5. Tolman. Good Friday Rugby League live for you around the 9, Win and NBN networks. Hodkinson clears. Johnston carries it back. Outside the 40, looking at the halfway line. So Joel Reddy comes in from his wing to take one for the forwards. Now for Tyrrell. Jackson's got him.
Well, in difficult circumstances, this could be a masterstroke from Michael Maguire with this positional change as Jason Clark takes it forward. Greg Inglis, inspirational defensively, getting up to hit Josh Jackson, and Alex Johnson looking dangerous at the back. Here's the one on the inside to Tim Grant.
So 5 gone for Souths. Reynolds to the right. Reynolds with the ball, tucks it under his wing. Has a go, the 7. Spirals out of another. Took a hit on the, maybe the shoulder, got him. Put him down inside the 10, but Canterbury with the advantage of the drop ball. Brett Morris comes away. Tom Burgess. The 16 is about to come into the game. Frank Pritchard. Josh Morris now.
That's a huge run. Morris and Morris.
Graham. 2-point ball game. Pritchard. With 16 minutes to go. And they empty Frank Pritchard onto them. It's Tolman. This is the last for Canterbury.
Eastwood, Tolman.
Hodkinson's kick down towards Johnston, and Reddy actually beat the youngster to the jump.
Lock in, Frank. 1, stay 10 again, mate. Stay 10 again.
These words of yours are still ringing in my ears. We've had Souths, I think, every weekend since the start of the competition. Josh Stewart, so they
good 3.
They just don't know how to lose. But I tell you what, it's going to take almost a miracle to get them out of this one. Here's their captain. He's running free and he's hitting hard. But Stewart is gone. Luke is gone. There's no Sutton. There's no Walker. So as I said, it'll be Herculean to get this one out of the fire. Brett Morris. Time is not a problem.
We've got an age to go. It's 15 minutes to go.
Go 1. Yeah, gotcha.
This is Rona again.
I'll tell you who's been really good too. Luke Keary at dummy half. He's looked really confident there. He's got them going forward.
Pritchard met by Tyrrell and Grant. And Reynolds dives in as the 3rd tackle underneath. Just above the knees. And here's Graham. Arm sneaking up around the shoulders. You heard the ref, it's okay.
Stand up, James. Hold, go 4. Inglis, 4.
Well, here is Josh Reynolds. Now Hodkinson and Pritchard. Pritchard with Josh Morris now. He sees a little needle eye opening, but he's tackled. 10 metres out, last tackle, blue and whites. Here is Hodkinson. Away from low, he kicks. It's down to Goodwin. Ah, great take, Bryson Goodwin. Perrott flying through. The crowd confirmed at 40,500 today.
Well, they're not going to leave. This is going right down to the wire.
Strong.
Queed.
Josh, give him room. Play on one.
Keary for Inglis. Crowd booing the referee for not penalising McQueen. I think the first motion, the ball went forward and then he raked it back with his foot. Grevsmull taken by the 9, Leisha, and also by Graham. Keary gives it on. Tom Burgess takes it 25 away from the Canterbury line. And we're playing 5 now. Keary showed it, gave the ball to Clark eventually. Clark has a ring of blue and white jumpers around him. He'll play it 10 out. This is the last. Reynolds kicking to the corner. Over towards Sam Perrott. Getting underneath it is Umbai.
No.
Well, again, he's got that kick wrong, Adam Reynolds. Chris McQueen is the target, as he so often is, but he didn't give an opportunity for McQueen to get through and contest because the ball wasn't high enough.
Perrott on his own 40-metre line. Hodkinson away to Pritchard.
I'll tell you what, all games are hard, but these boys are going to sleep well this weekend after this one. This has been really physical. A lot of impact out there today.
I don't know what you've got to do to get a penalty after that.
Yeah, we wear that one. Numbers here, Gav. Move, Darryl!
2-point ball game. I told you about this very match last year. It was a classic confrontation. And this is not letting us down. Jackson's pass comes down to Brett Morris eventually. And he'll play the ball 30 away. 5 gone for Canterbury. Reynolds just grubbers one in. Johnston will pick it up. We'll go for a gallop, Willie. Gets under Reynolds, taken by the other half. Hodkinson. So there's 11 and a half to go. And just the 2 points. Equal on the table. Souths winning their first 3, then dropping 1. Canterbury losing their first and dropping.
That's a run.
Losing their first and then winning the next 3. Grevsmull played that ball. It was a good, strong run, wasn't it? Keary to Inglis. He'll play it right in the centre of the ground. And here's a penalty on the last tackle.
Yeah, put that down to Grevsmull. The run previous. Got through the line, quick play of the ball. And then Keary at a dummy half. Really smart play. Looks really smart at a dummy half. Just gets Inglis in the open field.
Well, they've got to do here, Andrew, because you were right in the first half. Every time they've moved the ball to their right, to the Bulldogs' left-hand defence, there hasn't been much joy for them. You'd think they've got to set up for a double Barrows down the left here.
I'd play off Keary. Get Keary at a dummy half. Some angles off at a dummy half. Test the lateral movement. Some of these big dog forwards.
Played by Tom Burgess. They're 12 away, they're 8 away, they're 4 away with Grant.
1 foot, go 2.
Now Grevsmull for the line.
They've rolled him on his back. Held up over the line, back to the 10.
Who was that underneath there? Was that Brett Morris?
Yes,
no, it's Josh Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
Tremendous technique to get in and turn. Look at that strength and great technique. Get Grevsmull, turn him on his back.
McQueen run around with Keary, second man Reynolds, and Lowe juggled the ball and is pulled down about 2 metres away. So from Keary it's long, and Reynolds puts a kick in, but it's too big.
Dear oh dear. Dear oh dear oh dear. We've seen some really poor tackle 5 kicking today from both sides.
And that's what pressure will do to you. You would back him 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 to get that one right. But a couple this afternoon, And completely wrong.
Comment from the touchline, Brett.
Yeah, the injuries pile up for South Sydney. Glenn Stewart has been officially ruled out.
Okay. So Isaac Luke and Glenn Stewart, they won't be coming into this game again. Pritchard.
Well, if they find a way to win this one, South Sydney, then it is hugely impressive.
Graham. They're 9 metres into South's area now as Reynolds takes them on and torments them, and then Leisha, and now Josh Morris swerves off his left foot and then cuddles the ball to ground just inside the 20-metre line. They go to the right side for Greg Eastwood, and it seems almost all of the time he represents some kind of a danger. And a penalty goes against South Sydney.
Well, did he milk this? I can't imagine South Sydney wanting to do anything wrong in the tackle in front of their posts. They weren't under any pressure.
On the last.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to run the ball. They're not going to kick the goal.
Tolman.
It's a positive attitude.
Jackson's away to the right. Pritchard's out to the left with this fellow Graham, and Graham takes it to within 2. Hodkinson organising the left of the ruck. Reynolds is out here on the right and deep and runs across the 10-metre line, turns it back inside to Mbai, and he's wrestled down. Greg Inglis and Tom Burgess. Eastwood. And there's your try line. Just a couple of metres away. Leisha. Oh, knocked on by Hodkinson. And jumped on there by Clark. They play it quickly. But not quickly enough, I suppose, because Millard is armchaired back to the 20-metre line.
By the 2 Morris boys. They've been brutes today.
Here's Grevsmull again. Now they're 9 away from halfway. Just under 7 to go. Here's George.
You feeling anything, Rabbits? Do you feel a win? Who do you feel?
There's a penalty.
You mean, what do I feel?
Yeah, who do you feel here? Bulldogs or South?
I think the Dogs will fall over the line.
Well, they'll have a chance here, South Sydney, to try and refute that.
They're going for 2?
I
think they're going for 2.
Wow, they are.
Gee whiz.
Well, he'll have the length. I'll tell you what, we'll come back for it in just a moment.
Got the clock, Bernie? All right, mate. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Give yourself some space, Gav. Give yourself some space. I'm going. Give yourself some space. I'm going. Let us start for inside 5.
So we come back with Adam Reynolds, 45 metres out, right in front to draw level. On its way, it's okay. It's not okay, it's fantastic for South Sydney. 16 all. He said it the other day, the Buddha. They don't know how to lose. Now they're at 16-16.
Well, it's incredible because for a large portion of this game, I haven't felt like they've been in it. The 8-point try just before half-time, fortuitous. They've hung in.
Right, vision on ball, Gav.
And now drawn level with 5 and a bit minutes left on the clock. Down to the wire we go. The Bulldogs, famous.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
They've knocked on in goal.
Surely.
Well, what is he saying? It's a knock-on in goal. But what Peter was roaring about, Hodkinson's kick was going to go out full, wasn't it?
It looked like it was going to, and I think South Sydney might have thought that. And then I think it was a mix-up between Luke Keary
and Tom Burgess.
Tom Burgess.
We're never going to know unless we get a Hawkeye at the football.
And then it seemed an eternity before the whistle was blown.
Well, the Bulldogs are probably the best field goal team in the competition. How many have they won by a point?
Well,
this match last year, they created rugby league history, winning by a point consecutively 3 times.
Well, a couple of the Bulldogs players had their back turned to that. The ball rolled. First tackle was made 55 metres out. Here's Clemmer.
Trying to bash his way through is the young forward from Canterbury. Taken by Lowe. It's gone over to Tolman now.
It couldn't be Hodkinson again, Ray, surely. Not Hodkinson again.
It's got to be Hodkinson.
Well, he's just been cleaning the boot on the socks here.
Well, that's about appropriate now. Here it comes to Hodkinson. He hits it. He likes it. It looks like he's done it again.
He's a genius.
It looks like he has won another one for them.
He's a genius.
Still 3.5 to go.
He was just sitting in the backfield there saying, get me close enough. Out they come and straight down the middle. He is a freak. Not just this year. He did it with Manly. But he has kicked so many of those field goals under enormous pressure in the dying stages of games.
15-14 last year on this day. 17-16 at the moment this year.
And I remember saying it's impossible to replicate anything, and it is, 6 months apart. But they've gone horribly close to doing it today. Rona, 5 on his own side. Inside 3 minutes. Clemmer, held onto by Clark around the legs. Leisha, blind side for Pritchard. Now Morris, he's got Reddy around the legs.
Last one.
Titans and Broncos live tonight as they wind the clock down, finding touch off the boot of Hodkinson. 8:30 New South Wales, 7:30 Queensland. Titans and Broncos.
Well, that's a really professional set of 6 there by the Bulldogs. They get a point in front, they catch the kickoff, they work it forward for 5 plays, 1 pass football, jam it into the corner, find touch, 2 metres out from the opposition line. If you're a coach, you say, well, it just doesn't get any better than that. And now they'll force South Sydney to go 100 metres if they want to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. You'd be pretty proud there, coach, I'd say.
Well, he's been down in 8 of their battles against South since he took up the coaching reins. It's 5-3 against him. He's about to get one back, so it appears. Here's Inglis with 2 1/4 to go. So this is their last use.
Well, the Bulldogs have got to make sure they don't give away a penalty in this set defensively.
Tyrrell. So he plays it on the 40-metre line. And Grebsmill does well again.
What player he is. Yeah, 1 more of those and they're in range.
Here's Tyrrell running straight at Pritchard. And James Graham in jumper number 22. Here comes the kick. Reynolds is knocked over after his kick, but I think they've allowed that. It's going to roll dead.
James Graham is calling to the sideline. Adam Reynolds in plenty of distress.
Bernie?
Yeah.
Have no field goal. We want to look at contact on
We
Adam
will
Reynolds.
check this. This could be a massive, massive moment. Now, James Graham, talk about sportsmanship, alerted everybody to where Reynolds was.
But that's an accident.
It is an accident.
He had his head down. That's an accident.
But it's a penalty, and the goal kicker is the man hurt.
Well, he's trying to stop the field goal. He's not looking to tackle the man. He's trying to stop the field goal, as he's entitled to do.
Is this a penalty?
Well, it can't be a penalty,
I don't think it's accidental.
Yeah, I think it's accidental. He's within his rights to try and charge down the field goal, but then we have this rule about not attacking the legs of a kicker. Now, I don't think he for 1 minute is attempting a tackle. I think that's an accident. And he's quite entitled to try and charge the kick down. And he screams to the sideline saying, look here, I've hurt this kid.
But can you be penalised for dangerous contact even if it's accidental?
I think you can.
Is that penalty?
Okay. It's dangerous contact. The contact's on report. And because it's a field goal, the penalty's in front.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. You can see this coming. And James Graham was the one that alerted the referees. He was the one that stopped the play to say, I've hurt this kid.
Yes,
so this comes down to where the ball landed.
It's a penalty here, James. Go.
Well, 10 minutes in the bin for Clemmer.
Is that where? That's not where the ball landed.
No, it landed, I thought, more 10 metres off centre.
The ball never landed there.
The penalty's here. Oh, my God! James!
He'll go himself if he's not careful, Jimmy.
So Ray, you're the rules expert here. Is there a reason why this would be brought in front of the posts?
No.
I can't think of any reason. I would have thought the ball landed.
Yeah, the ball landed way left.
Say 10 metres away from centre.
It's a field goal.
Let's have a look here.
The ball landed out near the 20-metre line.
There it is. There it's landed 21 metres in from touch on the eastern side.
I heard the referee say because it was a field goal.
Because it was a field goal.
Because it was a drop goal.
Well, the goal kicker is limping up here.
The decision is made. You now need to walk back.
I think Goodwin's going to take the shot. Bryson Goodwin.
Well, you can throw it over from where they've ruled the penalty. Someone will have to check the rule book here about if you're attempting a field goal, it changes where the penalty is given.
Well, that's obviously the case. I mean, this is the #1 referee in the game.
Yeah, keep right away.
Well, look at that. South Sydney are going to win.
Well, you said they didn't know how to lose.
Can you believe this? That is just such a big call. A big call. The Bulldogs players aren't even retiring 10 metres here. They're all up around the ball. They can't believe it.
Yep.
So Goodwin takes the 2 points.
Short restart coming up.
So Souths lead 18-17 with 1 1/4 to go.
You've got to wait till we're in position. Keep behind it.
A tackle by James Graham. Here's a shallow goal. Ready. Way over the pack, but Josh Morris comes up, pleading to the referee.
Well, he's saying that he was taken out, that he was impeded in trying to get to the football.
Well, there's only a minute to play here, but I wouldn't go anywhere because these Bulldogs forwards are in a hell of a mood. Anything could happen here.
There's a push in the back on Josh Morris from Daryl Miller. That's what Josh was complaining about. He was impeded in an attempt to take part with a push in the back. David Terrell, 45 seconds to go. Grevsmore.
Gee, I think that's a bad penalty, wasn't it? I don't think that penalty is right. I don't think James Graham deserved to concede a penalty on that play for what he did. It's an unfortunate accident, but
Inglis rolling this ball in, and Brett Morris, he's clutching, I think, at his hamstring, is he? Brett Morris has cleaned it up, but he's clutched at the top of the hamstring.
Well, this has been the most unbelievable final 5 minutes of a game I have ever seen.
He's done his hamstring.
So the VB hard-earned man of the match is the man on the ground injured, Brett Morris.
Let's go, Gav.
So there it is. The VB man of the match. Brett Morris. The siren has sounded. The players have shaken hands. The coaches are heading for the sheds. South winning 18-17.